Alright, this video is meant to help you work with the paint effects objects. You can see I've already modeled a simple terrain. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my grid. So I have this simple terrain, some rolling hills. I'm going to use this as kind of the ground for my car animation. Next, I need to go in and pick the paint effects I want to use. So I'm going to go into Windows, Content Browser. All right. I have my paint effects right here. So I could do buildings. I could do flowers. I could do some grasses, right? And I could also do some trees. So let's do a few different things. Let's start with grass. So I'm going to go ahead and do some field grass. So what this is going to do, as we draw with our pencil, we're going to generate a curve that these grasses are going to follow. So what I want to do is think about where my camera is going to be and where this is going to make the most difference. So if I have a camera set up here and then I come along and do grass like that, right? That's going to generate grass kind of in the foreground, and that's what we want as well. So if I come into my perspective view, I'm going to draw that right there. So now I have two curves of grass, right? So let's come in and add some flowers to that. And I'll come in to some simple flowers. Okay, so now I have these curves. Maybe I'll come in and add trees. Sometimes it will only generate one tree when you draw. So that's important to know what you're about to get when you're working on these. Sometimes it'll generate a whole line of trees. So like this bamboo, it's a whole line of bamboo. All right, so now I have a bunch of different objects. What I want to do with these is I need to convert them into mesh objects. So before I do that, though, I want to adjust these curves to make sure that I have them on the place where I want them to be. So if I then select that stroke, here's that curve. I'm going to tap H to unhide it. There's the curve that I want to edit, so I have it selected. There we go. If I just bring it up a little bit higher, it'll bring it up to the surface. All right, so then I'm going to hide that stroke, select that stroke, tap H to unhide. There's the stroke that I want to edit. I'm going to grab all of those and lift those up. Let me just get that high enough so that the stroke is all the way above the surface of the plane. And then this the live object, what that does is it locks it to that surface. So if we just get everything high enough, then it'll pull it up the whole way. Okay. Bring it up to sit on the surface of our ground. There we go. We have a little bamboo grove going on. All right, so now we have all of our strokes done. Our foliage is sitting here on the surface of our ground. We want to convert all these objects to mesh. So we're going to modify, convert, and you can see down here I have paint effects to polygons. That's what we want to do. If you want to look at the menu, you can click on this little box just like always. Let's see what we get. And then convert. All right, so now we have these objects, right? We still have our original objects, but we also have these new objects as well. This field grass, if I come up here and select those, you can see there's nothing there. So I can delete those now. All right, and now I have these new objects. Our textures are also broken. I'm gonna go ahead and throw myself in a white sky dome so I can see what these look like with the lights on. You can see they don't look great, and we're gonna fix that. So the grass has 3 different objects. You can see that there it has the main, and if we zoom in on one little piece of that, you can see that this is like basically the center object. And then we have the leaf, which are these little sprigs that come out. And then we have our flower. Do I have any flower? Over here, we got some flowers. We have some grass flowers that kind of stick out of the top of our grass. All right, and so if we come to our attributes, each one of these objects has its own shader. Right now we have a ramp shader that is sort of semi-transparent as it moves to the edge. If you hop into your hypershade window, field grass, that's the one we're looking for here. Field grass 1 shader, field grass 1 flower. We can map that and look at it. Right? So there's our ramp object, that's our color. Here's our material, right? That's what's creating this. And then here's our shader graph. So this transparency property that we're getting and the ramp color that we're getting, I don't necessarily want to do that. I want to make sure we get a good display in Arnold. So what I'm going to do is create a standard surface. We don't need a new shader graph. We're going to plug this into our existing shader graph. We have our ramp color. We can plug that into our shader graph color. And we can plug that in there, and then we can delete that. Okay, so now this standard surface, let me go ahead and put my material viewer window back on here. Same deal for my dahlias. My dahlia flowers, focus on those, are black right now. They don't look good. So if I look at this flower shader, come into Hypershade, flower shader, map that, let's look at it. We have a fractal. That's going to create the image. We have a ramp that's going to take that fractal color and give it this pink shade. And then we have our Phong shader that's going to apply that, right? So if we look at this fractal pattern, is it going to let us look at this, the image we want to look at? We can adjust how this fractal looks, right? If we look at this in Arnold, so just all right. And then let's see, does it have? It's not having any transparency. Maybe we could add some translucence to it. Does that have any effect? Oh, no, that's too much. Okay, so you can also add a standard surface to this. Create standard surface. Delete our new shader graph. Plug our color in. Take that in there. Right? So now look at our dahlia. It's a lot brighter, right? Right away, we can see that it looks a lot nicer. We can work on a ramp for that transmission edge, right? We don't need any specularity. We can take that all the way down. Maybe we have some roughness on there. If you want your flowers to have a little bit of see-through, you can add transmission. Subsurface is a good thing to add to organic objects. That subsurface color should be the color you want to kind of shine through, right? So we can have like a dark pink. Can control like how much it comes out. There we go. So now we've got those petals kind of shining out. So you would do the same thing for the stem and the leaves, right? And then you're going to have a nice material once you're done, right? So now we've got this fractal noise pattern coming out of your flower. And then this is your new dahlia. All right, and so then all your dahlias flowers now have that nice color. This other group of dahlias needs to receive that nice color. Assign existing dahlia mat, right? And now they look nice. So you can see that the only things that I'm getting showing up here are the new textures that I've made. You can see that here in Arnold, I don't get to see this grass because I did not give that grass a good texture yet. So it's not showing up for me. So in order to give that grass a good texture, you can do it this quick way. Assign new material, standard surface, make it green, right? And now quickly we have a grass there. Or you can jump into Hypershade. You can connect those old textures in to the new textures, and that will make them show up a lot better, right? You can see I don't see my bamboo yet, right? That's because that bamboo needs to receive a new material. This new material can be like kind of a tanny green, right? No specular. And then that leaf needs to get standard surface. That can be a darker green. And then we can have that be a lot shinier. Right, and so now we've got those nice bamboos there in the background. All right, so this is how you can quickly use these paint effects to add really interesting, good-looking objects to your scene. I do want to point out, though, that now my scene has about 200,000 faces in it. That's not overwhelmed. My scene is still rendering, but when you add these objects, they are going to create a significant amount of faces in your scene.